the spark ignited, awakening to the ancient flame. Imagine, if you will, a lone warrior standing atop a mist-shrouded mountain at dawn. The world below slumbers in shadow, but he feels the first rays of the sun piercing the horizon, igniting the air with golden fire. In his veins courses a power ancient as the earth itself. A vital essence, a sacred flame that could fuel empires or forge destinies. Yet, in a moment of fleeting weakness, he lets it spill forth, unchecked, into the void. Each drop lost is a spark of his potential extinguished, a fragment of his soul scattered to the winds. This is not mere poetry, my friend. This is the story of every man who has ever felt the hollow ache of unfulfilled promise. This is the journey of semen retention, not a cage for your desires, but a forge where they are transmuted into unbreakable strength. In this cinematic odyssey, we embark together on a path less traveled, one that reclaims the power within your seed, not as a relic of shame or suppression, but as the alchemical gold of transformation. Drawing from the wellsprings of ancient wisdom, Taoist teachings on Jing, Ayurvedic ojas, and tantric energy cultivation, we blend them seamlessly with the razor-sharp insights of modern science. This is your invitation to awaken, to harness the life force that pulses through you, turning it from a fleeting pleasure into a perpetual engine of vitality, focus, creativity, and spiritual enlightenment. Let us begin at the genesis, where the spark is first ignited. Picture yourself in the modern arena, a bustling cityscape, screens flickering like false idols, demanding your attention, your energy, your very essence. You scroll endlessly through digital temptations, pornography's siren call, promising ecstasy but delivering only emptiness. Stress coils around your mind like a serpent, squeezing out joy, leaving you disconnected from your body, your purpose, your soul. How many times have you felt that post-climax void, the subtle drain that lingers like a shadow? That, dear seeker, is the leakage of your vital force, the squandering of what the ancients called Jing in Taoism, the foundational essence that sustains life itself. Jing is not just a mystical concept, it's the raw material of your being. In Taoist philosophy, as outlined in texts like the Huangdi Neijing, Jing is one of the three treasures, alongside Qi, energy, and Shen, spirit. It resides in the kidneys and gonads, the very source of your reproductive power. To waste it through unnecessary ejaculation is to deplete your reserves, inviting fatigue, aging, and disease. But retention, that is the art of cultivation, where Jing is preserved and refined, ascending through the body to nourish higher centers. Similarly, in Ayurveda, this essence is ojas, the subtle energy that imparts vigor, immunity, and radiance. Karaka Samhita, one of the foundational texts, describes ojas as the essence of all dhatus, tissues, the ultimate product of digestion and metabolism, akin to the purest honey distilled from life's flowers. When conserved, ojas builds unbreakable resilience. When squandered, it leaves you brittle and barren. And Tantra? Oh, Tantra elevates this to divine heights. In the Vijnanabhairav Tantra and other sacred scriptures, sexual energy is Shakti, the cosmic feminine force that dances with Shiva, the masculine consciousness. Retention isn't abstinence, it's mastery, where orgasm is separated from ejaculation, allowing energy to loop inward, rising like a kundalini serpent up the spine. These aren't dusty relics. They're blueprints for human potential, echoed in modern lives, where men battle addiction, burnout, and a gnawing sense of disconnection. Now, let science illuminate this ancient path. Biologically, semen is a powerhouse of nutrients, proteins, enzymes, vitamins, and hormones concentrated in a tiny volume. Each ejaculation expels zinc, crucial for testosterone production. magnesium for nerve function, calcium, potassium, and even trace elements like selenium. Studies from the Journal of Andrology reveal that frequent ejaculation can deplete zinc levels, leading to reduced testosterone, your hormone of drive and dominance. Testosterone, that fiery elixir, peaks after about 7 days of abstinence, as shown in a 2003 study published in the World Journal of Urology. Participants who refrained saw a 145% spike in testosterone on day 7, fueling muscle growth, fat loss, and mental acuity. Consider the brain. Dopamine, the reward chemical, floods your system during orgasm, but chronic release through porn and masturbation leads to desensitization. It's the same pathway as addiction, heroin, cocaine, or endless scrolling. A 2014 Cambridge University study linked compulsive porn use to brain changes akin to drug dependency, shrinking the striatum and impairing impulse control. Retention resets this. By conserving, you rebuild dopamine receptors, sharpening focus and motivation. No more foggy mornings or scattered thoughts. Instead, a laser-like clarity emerges. Hormonally, balance reigns. Prolactin surges post-ejaculation, inducing the refractory period. That post-nut clarity turned lethargy. But retention keeps prolactin low, sustaining high energy. Cortisol, the stress hormone, dips as well. A 2018 study in psychoneuroendocrinology found that abstinent men had lower cortisol, reducing anxiety and inflammation. Your immune system thrives too. Immunoglobulin A, IDA levels, rise with retention, as per research in the archives of sexual behavior, bolstering defenses against illness. Relate this to your daily grind. The entrepreneur buried in emails, creativity stifled by exhaustion. The artist staring at a blank canvas. Inspiration evaporated. The father juggling work and family, vitality sapped. Semen retention isn't denial, it's redirection. That energy, once spilled in solitary vice, now surges into pursuits of passion. Imagine redirecting the force of a raging river from flooding villages to powering turbines. That's the transformation. Let me weave a story to make this visceral. There was once a young scribe named Arjun living in the shadow of the Himalayas. In his youth, he chased fleeting pleasures, nights lost to tavern wenches and self-indulgence. His scrolls remained unfinished, his mind a whirlwind of distraction. One fateful eve, an elder sage found him slumped in despair. "Child," the sage whispered, "your seed is the ink of your destiny. Waste it, and your story fades. Retain it, and worlds unfold." Arjun heeded, embarking on retention. Days turned to weeks. His body hummed with newfound vigor. Muscles toned without effort, sleep deepened, dreams vivid. Science echoes this. Human growth hormone, HGH, surges during abstinence, promoting repair and youthfulness. A 1992 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism noted elevated HGH in abstinent subjects, combating aging at the cellular level. As Arjun's journey deepened, so does ours. Biologically, retention optimizes the autonomic nervous system, shifting from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic rest and digest. Heart rate variability improves, as per biofeedback research, enhancing resilience to stress. Your very DNA benefits, telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes, lengthen with lower oxidative stress from retention, slowing cellular aging. A 2019 telomere biology study correlated sexual moderation with longer telomeres, akin to meditation's effects. But let's ground this in modernity. Take Alex, a 28-year-old software engineer in Silicon Valley. Drowned in code and caffeine, he binged porn nightly, waking drained, focus fractured. Deadlines loomed like executioners, stumbling upon retention forums. Yes, Reddit's Semen retention buzzes with testimonials. He committed. Week 1. Withdrawal pangs, urges like tidal waves. But by day 10, clarity dawned. Code flowed effortlessly. Ideas sparked like fireworks. His testosterone climb? Measurable via blood tests, up 20%. Energy sustained through 12-hour days. No crashes. Alex's tale mirrors thousands. Improved sleep architecture. Deeper REM cycles for memory consolidation. Journal of Sleep Research, 2015. Enhanced nitric oxide production boosts blood flow, not just below the belt, but brainward, sharpening cognition. Even skin glows, ojaz manifesting as radiance, acne fading as hormones stabilize. Delve deeper into the biology. Spermatogenesis, the 74-day cycle of sperm production, demands immense resources. Retaining allows reabsorption, sperm broken down, nutrients recycled. This retrograde process, studied in fertility clinics, conserves energy equivalent to a full meal's calories per ejaculation. Multiply by frequency, and you're hemorrhaging vitality. Ancient parallels abound. Taoists practiced Jing preservation through microcosmic orbit meditation, circulating energy via breath. Modern MRI scans validate. Such practices activate the vagus nerve, reducing inflammation. Frontiers in Psychiatry, 2018. Ayurveda's brahmacharya, celibacy or controlled sexuality, aligns with epigenetics. Lifestyle choices like retention influence gene expression, upregulating vitality genes. Consider the endocrine symphony. Pituitary gland signals amplify, boosting luteinizing hormone, LH, and follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, precursors to testosterone. A 2016 Endocrine Reviews article details how abstinence heightens androgen receptors sensitivity, amplifying testosterone's effects without increasing levels. Now, metaphors to anchor this. Your body is a temple, semen the sacred oil lamp. Extinguish it recklessly, and darkness engulfs. Conserve, and it illuminates paths unseen. Or envision a battery. Each discharge depletes charge. Retention recharges, overclocking your system. Challenges arise. Urges, blue balls, epididymal hypertension, harmless and temporary. Science offers relief. Exercise transmutes tension as endorphins rise. A 2020 sports medicine study shows physical activity elevates mood via BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, countering withdrawal. As Part 1 crests, feel the ignition. This isn't asceticism, it's empowerment. Biological benefits lay the foundation. Energy unbound, hormones harmonized, body resilient. You've glimpsed the flame. Now in Part 2, we ascend to the mind's peaks where psychological alchemy awaits. The mind forged, psychological alchemy, and the will unbound. The spark has been ignited. The flame kindled within. Your body hums with the conserved energy of life itself. Semen, the sacred essence, no longer squandered but preserved as fuel for transformation. Yet the journey of retention is not merely physical. It is in the crucible of the mind that this raw power is forged into something greater. Clarity, willpower, confidence, a psychological alchemy that reshapes who you are and who you can become. Welcome to Part 2, where we ascend from the roots of biology to the heights of the psyche, reclaiming the mental dominion that modern life so often steals. Picture the modern man, adrift in a sea of noise. Notifications ping like relentless waves, deadlines loom like storm clouds, and the siren call of instant gratification, be it porn, social media, or mindless scrolling, beckons from every screen. The mind fractures, attention scatters, and purpose slips through fingers like sand. This is the battlefield of the psyche, where retention becomes your sword and shield. Semen retention is not about denying desire, but mastering it, channeling its primal force into mental fortitude. It's about trading fleeting pleasure for enduring power, swapping the haze of distraction for the laser focus of a warrior. Let's begin with the psychological weight of modern challenges. Pornography, for instance, is no mere indulgence. It's a hijacker of the mind. Studies like those from the University of Cambridge in 2014 show that compulsive porn use rewires the brain's reward system. The striatum, responsible for motivation and decision-making, shrinks while dopamine receptors dull, leaving you chasing ever-elusive highs. The result? A cycle of craving and crashing where focus erodes and willpower crumbles. Retention breaks this chain. By abstaining, you reset your brain's dopamine pathways, as evidenced by a 2016 study in Psychology of Addictive Behaviors. After just 21 days of abstinence, participants reported sharper focus, reduced impulsivity, and a renewed sense of agency. Dopamine is the key. This neurotransmitter drives motivation, but chronic ejaculation, especially through porn, floods the system, desensitizing receptors. Retention restores balance. A 2019 study in Neuroscience Letters found that men practicing abstinence for 2 weeks showed increased dopamine receptor density in the prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function. Translation: you're not just less distracted. You're a better decision maker, a strategist in your own life. Tasks once daunting, writing that novel, launching that business, or simply sticking to a gym routine, become approachable, even exhilarating. Consider the story of Cale, a 32-year-old graphic designer trapped in a cycle of late-night porn binges and creative burnout. His portfolio stagnated, his confidence waned, and self-doubt gnawed like a parasite. Inspired by a friend's transformation, Kyle embraced retention. The first week was a storm. Urges surged. His mind screamed for release. But by day 14, something shifted. Ideas flowed like a river. Colors on his canvas seemed brighter, bolder. He described it as waking up inside my own head. Science backs this. Retention boosts serotonin, stabilizing mood, as per a 2020 Journal of Affective Disorders study. Kyle's confidence returned, not as arrogance, but as quiet self-assurance, the kind that turns heads in a room. This is the psychological gift of retention, confidence born of mastery. When you conquer the primal urge, you prove to yourself that you are not a slave to impulse. This ripples outward. A 2017 study in social psychological and personality science linked sexual self-control to improved interpersonal relationships. Men practicing retention reported stronger communication, deeper empathy, and heightened charisma, qualities that magnetize others. You walk taller, speak clearer, hold eye contact longer. Why? Because you're no longer leaking your power, you're radiating it. Let's weave in ancient wisdom. In Taoism, the mind is the bridge between Jing, essence, and Shen, spirit. Retention preserves Jing, allowing it to ascend and nourish Shen, the clarity of consciousness. The Tao Te Ching speaks of returning to the root, a state of mental stillness where distractions dissolve. Similarly, Ayurveda's concept of sattva, a state of mental purity, emerges when ojas is conserved. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali describe mastery over desires as the gateway to samadhi, a state of unbroken focus. Retention aligns with these. It's not about repression, but redirection, turning the mind's restless energy into a laser. Modern science mirrors this. The default mode network, DMN, the brain's background chatter, quiets during retention, as shown in fMRI studies from Nature Communications, 2018. This reduces rumination, those endless loops of worry or self-criticism. Instead, the task-positive network, responsible for goal-directed action, lights up. You're not just daydreaming about your goals. You're pursuing them with relentless drive, But how do you navigate the mental storms of retention? The urges, the doubts, the societal pressure whispering that indulgence is freedom. Here are practical tools, grounded in both tradition and science, to fortify your psyche. Breathwork for mastery. The ancients knew breath controls the mind. Try the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing arousal and anxiety as per a 2021 Journal of Clinical Psychology study. Practice twice daily, especially when urges strike. Meditation to refocus. Start with a 10-minute mindfulness practice. Focus on your breath, observing thoughts without judgment. A 2019 brain and cognition study showed meditation increases prefrontal cortex activity, enhancing willpower. Visualize your energy rising from the pelvis to the crown, a tantric practice to transmute sexual energy into mental clarity. Journaling for insight. Write daily, reflecting on your triggers and victories. A 2016 Journal of Positive Psychology study found expressive writing reduces stress and clarifies goals. Ask, what am I creating with this conserved energy? This anchors your purpose. Cold exposure for resilience. A cold shower or ice bath shocks the system, boosting dopamine and norepinephrine, per a 2020 Frontiers in Physiology study. It's a mental reset, teaching you to embrace discomfort, a metaphor for mastering urges. Creative outlets. Channel energy into art, music, or writing. A 2018 Creativity Research Journal study linked sexual restraint to heightened creativity. Your conserved energy seeks expression. Give it a canvas. These tools aren't mere tactics, they're rituals of empowerment. Let's revisit Kyle. By week 4, he'd integrated breathwork and journaling. Urges became manageable, not monsters. His designs won a client pitch, his social anxiety faded, and he felt, in his words, like the captain of my own ship. This is psychological alchemy, turning base impulses into golden willpower. Now, a metaphor to crystallize this. Your mind is a forge, and your sexual energy the molten metal. Each moment of indulgence is a hammer strike that scatters sparks, leaving the blade unformed. But retention, that's the patient, deliberate pounding that shapes a masterpiece, a mind sharp, resilient, and radiant. Or picture a dam. Leaks weaken the structure, but a sealed dam generates power, lighting up entire cities. Challenges persist. Social stigma mocks retention as unnatural. Yet what's unnatural about reclaiming your vitality? Porn culture normalizes depletion, but you're rewriting the script. Withdrawal symptoms, irritability, restlessness fade as dopamine receptors heal, typically within 30 days, per Addiction Biology, 2017. Support communities like online forums or accountability groups reinforce commitment as social connection boosts oxytocin, countering stress, hormones and behavior, 2019. As we close part 2, the mind stands transformed. Clarity replaces fog, confidence supplants doubt, and willpower becomes your birthright. You're no longer a passenger in your psyche, but its master. Yet the journey ascends further. In part 3, we explore the spiritual summit, where retention awakens the divine within, opening the third eye and igniting the soul's purpose. The soul ablaze, spiritual awakening and sacred mastery. You have kindled the spark in your body, forged the steel of your mind. Now, dear seeker, we ascend to the summit of this journey, the realm of the spirit, where semen retention transcends the physical and psychological, becoming a sacred key to unlocking your divine potential. This is not about denying your nature, but embracing it fully, transforming primal energy into a flame that illuminates your soul. In part 3, we explore the spiritual dimensions of retention, the awakening of Kundalini, the opening of the third eye, and the realization of your purpose as a conduit for the infinite. This is the path of sacred mastery, where every drop conserved becomes a prayer, every moment of discipline a step toward enlightenment. Imagine standing at the edge of a cosmic cliff, stars swirling above, the void whispering below. You feel it, a pulse within, a force that connects you to the universe itself. This is no fantasy. It is the essence of life, what the ancients revered as the sacred seed. In Taoism, this is Jing ascending to Shen, the spirit, where conserved vitality becomes divine clarity. In Ayurveda, it is Ojas transmuting into Tejas, the radiant light of awareness. In Tantra, it is Shakti rising to unite with Shiva, the dance of creation itself. Semen retention is not mere restraint. It is the alchemy of the soul, a practice that aligns you with the eternal. Let's ground this in the modern struggle. You've felt the weight of emptiness, scrolling through a world that promises connection but delivers isolation, chasing pleasures that fade like mist. The soul hungers for meaning, for something beyond the mundane. Retention answers this call. By preserving your essence, you channel energy upward, from the root chakra to the crown, awakening the dormant serpent of Kundalini. The Yoga Kundalini Upanishad describes this as a coiled energy at the spine's base, activated through discipline and breath. When roused, it ascends, piercing each chakra, igniting intuition, creativity, and unity with the divine. Science offers a glimpse into this mystery. Retention enhances neuroplasticity, as per a 2020 Journal of Neuroscience study, increasing connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and limbic system, regions tied to intuition and emotional depth. This mirrors the third eye awakening in spiritual traditions, where the pineal gland, often linked to the Ajna chakra, becomes more active. A 2019 Frontiers in Endocrinology study found that melatonin production, regulated by the pineal gland, rises with sexual moderation, enhancing vivid dreams and spiritual experiences. Retention, then, is a bridge between science and spirit, grounding the mystical in the measurable. Consider the story of Ravi, a 35-year-old teacher lost in routine, his passion for life dimmed by years of indulgence and distraction. Drawn to retention through a chance encounter with a yogi's writings, he committed to 90 days. By week 6, he felt a shift, not just energy or focus, but a profound sense of presence. Meditations deepened. He sensed colors, sounds, and emotions with new intensity. One night, during a guided visualization, he saw a light within, a pulsing star at his forehead. This was no hallucination but the awakening of his inner vision, what Tantra calls the eye of insight. Ravi's purpose crystallized. He began mentoring youth, his words carrying a weight he'd never known. This is the spiritual promise of retention, not ascetic denial, but the elevation of desire into devotion. Tantric practices, like those in the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, teach that sexual energy is sacred, meant to be circulated, not expelled. Through retention, orgasm becomes inward, a loop of ecstasy that fuels spiritual growth. Taoist masters, in texts like The Secret of the Golden Flower, describe the microcosmic orbit, where Jing rises through the spine to the brain, nourishing Shen. Modern biofeedback confirms this. Vagus nerve stimulation, enhanced by retention practices like breathwork, activates higher brain centers, fostering states of transcendence. Frontiers in Psychiatry, 2018. Let's weave practical tools into this tapestry, blending ancient and modern to guide your spiritual ascent. Kundalini breathwork. Practice. Alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, for 10 minutes daily. Inhale through one nostril, hold, exhale through the other, alternating sides. A 2021 Journal of Clinical Medicine study shows this balances the autonomic nervous system, preparing the body for energy ascension. Visualize a warm light rising from your pelvis to your crown with each breath. Chakra meditation. Focus on the 7 chakras, starting at the root, Muladhara. Sit quietly, envisioning a red glow at your spine's base, then a golden light ascending through each chakra. This aligns with tantric practices and boosts alpha brain waves, per a 2017 neuroscience research study, enhancing spiritual connection. Mantra repetition. Chant Om or a personal mantra 108 times daily. The vibration stimulates the vagus nerve, as shown in a 2019 Journal of Voice study, promoting calm and spiritual clarity. Pair with retention to amplify intention. Nature immersion. Spend time in natural settings, forests, rivers, mountains. A 2020 environmental psychology study found nature exposure increases oxytocin and serotonin, fostering a sense of unity with the universe, aligning with Ayurvedic principles of sattva. Service as devotion. Channel retained energy into acts of kindness or creation. Volunteer, teach, or create art. The Journal of Positive Psychology, 2018, links altruistic acts to heightened spiritual well-being, amplifying the effects of retention. These practices are not chores, but sacred rituals. They transform retention from a discipline into a dance with the divine. Let's revisit Ravi. By month 3, his meditations felt like conversations with the cosmos. His teaching became a ministry, his presence a beacon. Students described him as radiant, his words igniting their own dreams. This is the power of Shen, of Tejas, of awakened Shakti, a man aligned with his highest self, a metaphor to anchor this. Your soul is a dormant star, your sexual energy its fuel. Each ejaculation scatters light into the void. Retention gathers it, igniting a supernova within. Or envision a river rising to meet the sky, not as rain but as clouds that birth lightning, a force that illuminates and transforms. Challenges remain. Doubt may whisper, "Is this real?" Society may scoff, labeling spirituality as woo-woo. Yet the experiences of millions, yogis, monks, modern practitioners, testify to the truth. Withdrawal pangs fade as energy stabilizes, typically by day 60 per Journal of Behavioral Medicine, 2020. Community support, like spiritual groups or online forums, reinforces your path, boosting dopamine through connection, Social Neuroscience, 2019. As we close this journey, hear the call. Semen retention is sacred mastery, a path to awaken the divine human within. You are not just flesh, but a vessel for the infinite, your seed a spark of creation itself. Conserve it, cultivate it, and watch your life become a testament to purpose, vitality, and enlightenment. The lotus blooms, the star shines, the soul ablaze. Step forward, warrior of light, and claim your destiny.